Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the iPhone 2 Juice podcast. I'm your host, Juice, and I'm here with my co-host, Reen. Before I let you speak, Reen, we have a special guest, so let's introduce him as well. We got Ant Walker from Sherdog, former guest of the show. Pleased to have you, Ant.
Happy to be back, man. Always fun kicking it with y'all. So let's talk about people getting hit in the face for money.
Nice. What's up with you, Reen?
Nothing much. Man, I can't believe it's Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving Day week. It's insane, man. We've been doing this for a year.
Yeah, last week was the semi kind of anniversary because I couldn't remember the exact date. And we had a lot of test shows before that never made the air because I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. But we're here now. I kind of got a grip of this. So, yeah, this is semi-formatted. There's not a lot of, there's been no fights lately. So news and matchups and everything's gonna be all jumbled together, but we're gonna do a quick little mini preview of UFC DC, the card coming up next week. Two fights that stuck out. One of them was Rob Font versus Ricky Simon. I know Simon just got beat by Uriah Faber of all goddamn people, and Rob Font has been on the up and up last I remember. But this seems like a really good fight. I've always dug Font, and I've been a fan of Simone. So I'll start with you, Ant. What do you think about this fight?
I definitely like the action potential of this fight. Rob Font is one of the better pure strikers, at least with his hands in that division. So I'm curious to see what he looks like. He was coming off of a win against Sergio Pettis on I think it was the very last Fox card, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a quality win just because the last name Pettis, but I mean Sergio is really a true flyweight that was kind of forced to move up during that 6 weeks that they were getting rid of the flyweight division. And Ricky Simon, man, he's always a guy who brings action, and I'm curious to see what his rebound is going to be like after having that upset loss against Uriah Faber.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting. And you're mentioning Font's hands, and I agree. He's very skilled, but you got to remember, like I believe it was the Thomas Almeida fight. He knocked him out with a head kick, so he's got some kicks too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Rob Font, man, is a guy who you can throw him in against a lot of people, and he'll give you a tough fight, and he'll be fun to watch. So I'm always happy to see him step in the cage.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Irene?
Wow, he hasn't fought since December, so he's been out for quite a while. He was supposed to be matched up with Cody Stamann and John Lineker, but they both pulled out due to injuries. So, yeah, I'm kind of curious as to what's going to happen because, I mean, Ricky Simon got knocked out by Uriah Faber in July. I don't know if it's too soon or what. He's been fighting for a while. He was on like a crazy 8-fight win streak until he met the Hall of Famer. So, yeah, I'm very curious on the outcome of this fight.
And to be fair to Simone, too, he did get surprisingly knocked out by Uriah. But remember, it wasn't that bad of a knockout. He protested it, and some fans thought it was an early stoppage. So it's not like he got major damage. But, yeah, the win still stands for Faber. And, yeah, he did get a TKO. But, yeah, very, very interesting points. And, yeah, a good point, Reen. Font hasn't fought in a while, and Simone is coming off of a TKO loss. So, yeah, let's see who wants it more and let's see who's ready. That will be interesting. Another fight that got my attention was Thiago Alves versus Tim Means. I know Thiago Alves ain't what he used to be. It's still pretty fun to see him fight for the most part, though. It's not like I see his fights and it's not like watching Shogun fight or one of these old Brazilian legends where it's like, oh, they're not who they used to be, but they're getting wrecked. Alves is still pretty competitive for the most part, and Tim Means, I mean, he's always just bringing the violence, so I think this can be a good action fight. I'll start with you on this one, Reen. What do you think about this one?
Wait, didn't Tim Means fight Nico Price, is that when he broke
the ankle? Yep.
Yeah, he like fell back and cracked something.
Yep.
And then now he's matched up against Thiago. That's rough, man.
I never forget that fight because that was like the only post show we did, and I was drunk, and I didn't know when I watched the fight. And she told me during the show, and when I watched it basically like live on air, I was like, oh my god, yeah.
That was had some Crow Cop flashbacks on that one.
Oh yeah, that one, and that was by a punch, not a kick, but it goes to show how hard Price hits. But yeah, go ahead, Reem.
No, I totally forgot who he fought last because he's been out for a while too. So, and then Thiago was supposed to fight Gunny.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, just like a month ago,
Yeah, UFC Copenhagen, but he had like kidney stones or something going on, so he had to pull out of that.
And he beat what was his name, Max Griffin, right? Like in May.
Yeah.
Although a lot of people thought he shouldn't have beat him.
Mm-hmm. So, this is a fun fight. I dig it. I just want to see a war. It's one of those, right?
Yeah, that's the best outcome, I guess. It doesn't matter who wins as long as we get a good fight, and I think that will come to fruition. How about you, Ant?
I'm kind of with you on that, man. This is a fight that's just guaranteed to see bloodshed. This is like a definitely an action fight that has absolutely no relevance on the title. It has no relevance in the rankings. Alves, for somebody who really, judging by his record, judging by the, just like the amount of damage he's taken over his career and stuff, he's a guy who really should be washed. Like we shouldn't even be talking about him in any sort of real excited to see sense. We should be dreading seeing Thiago Alves stepping out in the cage, but he still kind of got it. I mean, he's definitely not going to be contending for the belt anytime soon, but he's still a guy you could throw in there and have a fun fight. And put him up against other fun fighters. I really want to see if he's going to target not Nico Price. If he's going to target Tim Means' leg, I want to know how good that leg is healed up from that bizarre fall. And Alves, of course, is known for those leg kicks. I just want to see if that's going to be the game plan. And let's also keep in mind that Tim Means was piecing Nico Price up. He was giving him the business until he ate that shot that put him out. So I'm pumped for this one. This should be one of the better fights on the card, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean Thiago's always had the good leg kicks, but I do wonder. I haven't seen him utilize it too much because I don't think he uses leg kicks as much as he used to in his prime. But especially if he could get those like low calf kicks. I mean, you've seen especially like in Bellator with what was his name with Primus and Chandler that fucked up his nerves and
when
rolls
that nerve,
the ankle.
that nerve goes dead and that foot just drops.
Yeah, that's not my thigh hurts. That's I can't walk anymore. And then if something fucks up with your ankle and that happened to him, that'd be tough. Yep, very good point, man.
Giving me chills every time guys talk about kicks and broken ankles. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's weird. We've seen. I mean, like things like Anderson Silva's leg break, and I mean those things are horrific. But of all the injuries I've seen, though, that's like the one that always kind of wigs me out is the rolling of the ankles. It's always just it fucking just gives me chills. That does it for the little mini preview. We'll get to the rest of the card next week. That's a pretty fire card. I hadn't looked at it too much, but yeah, that should be fun. And I believe that's a proper ESPN card too. So it's a good way to close out the year as far as the ESPN stuff goes. So
we deserve it. We had a 2-week break.
Yeah. Well, this is what happens when you have a break. You can put talent on cards, and you're not suffering. You don't have to spread out the roster so thin.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, man, if you don't have a show every 3 days, you just might have people that people want to see fighting available to fight. It's amazing how the math works out.
And I look at the last two shows, Sao Paulo and Russia, and the Russia show, and like I mentioned on last week's show, I didn't even watch them. I'm still trying to catch up on a few of them. I watched almost none of the Russia card. I've seen like 2 fights in the Sao Paulo card. I'm just only doing it out of like obligation, so I know what's going on from here on out. But it's not anything I'm pumped for. So yeah, even I'm losing a little fandom in these times, but it comes with the territory, I guess. We kind of talked about that last week, but anyway, from here on out, it's kind of just news and matchups and just a bunch of randomness. So there's no real segue to this. Well, I guess this is a good segue. Mickey Gall is officially off the DC card, the DC card that we were just talking about. Carlos Condit got hurt a few weeks back. They'd been looking for a replacement and they couldn't find it. Um, I guess a good way to go on about this is, I mean, is anyone really sad that this fight was happening? I'm the biggest Carlos Condit mark in the world, and I'm not even sure he can win this fight. And it was one of those fights that I don't even really want to watch because if he can't beat him, I'm like, man, I know he should be retired anyway, but it's gonna be sad to see him lose to his little scrub, man. I'm not ready for it.
Yeah, the Condit and Gall fight it was just the most nothing matchup you could ever imagine. You know, to have a guy who Condit who clearly needs to be sat down and told that this ain't for him no more, and Mickey Gall who has proven that he is not UFC caliber several times over. It's just really nuts. Like you learn nothing no matter who wins that fight. So
Yeah.
if Gall wins, it's like okay, we know Condit was washed, so that doesn't change. And now we just saw him get more washed, and it's just sad to see that happen. But if Condit wins, it's like okay, we knew Mickey Gall wasn't UFC caliber. We knew this already. We knew this with Diego Sanchez. So I'm really not seeing why this was put together, and the MMA guys did us a solid and broke it up.
Or John Jones. I mean,
Oh
Condit,
yeah,
he pulled out with an eye injury, so I don't know. John Jones
Oh, is
saved
that what
us.
it was?
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
poked
yeah.
him in the eye or something during training. I don't know.
He
But
definitely pulled out with an eye injury. I mean, here's one thing that maybe we need to be talking about is this really going to end Carlos Condit's career? Like, is this kind of like on a whimper as opposed to him going out, you know, with dropping the gloves in the middle of the cage and saying his goodbyes to Joe Rogan? Like, this really could be it. An eye injury that severe at his age with the mileage he's got on him. It's kind of like, what's
And
the point of coming back?
what are you talking about? Eye injuries and mileage on him, and his career is done. Have you never heard of Michael Bisping?
Okay, yeah, all right. I'll
oh
give you
my
that.
god.
I'll give you that. But I mean, but Bisbing also wasn't on like a 17 fight losing streak when
I know, I know.
when he lost his eye. So there's there's a huge difference there.
I was thinking about it earlier today with Bisping. Well, I guess we'll talk about his comments a little bit later about the whole Rockhold thing. But I was thinking about Bisping earlier. I was like, you know what? His career realistically could have been over in the Vitor Belfort fight when he got head kicked. I know he says that's what detached his eye, but I'm not even talking about that. Like, had that injury never happened, realistically, you could just been like, yeah, that's it for him. This is the guy he should have been able to beat. If you couldn't beat him, nothing was gonna happen. But aside from that, that is when he got his eye fucked up, and that's actually when he started his streak. So, god damn it, man, what a crazy fucking
Animal.
in the sport. Yeah, yep,
Fucking animal, man.
exactly, Reen. And what about you, Reen? You go ahead and make me sadder by talking about old
What?
Mr. Condit.
Nah. I mean, why? He was on like a what? 5 fight losing streak and he hasn't fought. Yeah, it would be a year, right? Yep.
Yeah, he
So
hasn't
He
won a.
hasn't fought since the who did he lose to? Michael Chiesa at UFC
Yep.
232.
right. So I mean, why? Why now? Maybe just hang it up.
And
I know that's your favorite fighter, but
no, I know he should hang it up, and I'm not really sad about that. The thing that really makes me sad, and hearing it a lot in the past couple of weeks, since we weren't sure if who Gall was gonna fight, Condit's name comes up, is hearing that he hasn't won a fight since 2015. That's the real goddamn tragedy.
yeah.
That was the one that makes me sad. But
Beyond
yeah,
the fact that he should have been the welterweight champion, but that's
it-
another story. He beat
Oh,
Robbie Lawler. I'll
dude.
die on that hill.
Yeah, man. As I said, I'm the world's biggest Condit fan, and I've still amazed myself even that I don't think he won that fight. I mean, I'm not mad at people that say they did. Like, I get it, but I'm still like, yeah, I think Robbie edged it. But of course, it was razor close. But yeah, that's just me. I also do love Lawler, so I wasn't gonna be so upset about that one. But it's not any good segues here. But I guess since man that was supposed to fight on this card, Walt Harris, I think everyone knows now he pulled out, searching for a stepdaughter, and the news came out. I believe it was yesterday that it looks like her remains had been found somewhere in Alabama. The guy that was originally suspected has been arrested, and I guess there was a second suspect arrested. And I don't know what to say about this other than obviously it's just totally just utter tragedy. And my heart goes out to the Harris family, but I don't know. It really it really just leaves a bad taste in your mouth seeing the little details of that. Apparently there was witnesses, but nobody really called the police. And then
And
when you look into the guy's background about that, he really shouldn't have been out in any streets, shouldn't have been out to roam anywhere. This is just it's infuriating.
Well, the second suspect is out on bond too, and a third one.
Third
So
one.
yeah,
yeah,
there's
there's a
a
third
third
one.
guy, but I haven't seen any details as to what they think his role was in the whole crime.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know what capacity he was involved with. The second guy that I think they only his bond was only like 50,000. He apparently drove the guy the first guy arrested, drove him from point A to point B at some point, and then
Uh,
and helped him throw away some evidence.
oh
So
shit.
yeah, so I mean that you're involved with something like that. You ain't no way you should be walking the street. So I'm all for criminal justice reform. But I mean let's be real here. Like this 19-year-old girl who had nothing to do with anything gets caught up in with some sick people and terrible things happen to her. And then for the guy who witnessed the actual kidnapping and decided not to say anything because his wife said that they need to just mind their business. Him and his wife are the biggest pieces of shit aside from the guys who actually committed the crime. What a bunch of morally bankrupt bullshit nonsense is that? I'm saying that dude right there, man. First off, what sort of what sort of fucking clown just doesn't have human empathy to see a girl in trouble? And not saying that you gotta go ahead and be Batman and go out there and try to fight them dudes. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you can call the police. You know what I'm saying? You can give a statement, to help save this girl's life, and then for dude's wife to encourage him to keep his mouth shut. It's like come on now, like if that were you in that situation, would you
Yeah.
want somebody to help you?
That was
Like
your
yeah,
daughter, your sister, you know.
yeah, like come on now, like and then for the wife to be like man, if that was like that could have been her. Like they're targeting a defenseless woman. Like that could have been her. If she were suffering some life threatening injury, shoved into the trunk of a car and bleeding out, would she hope that someone was responsible enough to call the police or empathetic enough or just gave a shit enough to just call the police? I don't know, man. That shit made me sick to my stomach. That's one dude, man. I'd like to sit in a room with him and teach him a few things about what being a human being is. What a bitch and his wife. Fuck him.
Juice and I were kind of going back and forth off air, and I was saying like any UFC fans in jail or wherever he gets, these guys get locked up, y'all know what to do. Just
Yeah.
handle it, because come on, it's so sad. Like even though I didn't know the girl, like it broke me up.
Hey, I feel that, man. It got to a point where like when this news broke, nothing else really mattered to
Yep.
me. It it,
Yeah.
it, it was it was very difficult to just kind of focus on everything else. And I'm seeing the Twitter timeline jump back and forth about this, and then was we'll talk about the Gina Carano interview and all this other
Mhm.
stuff that was going on. You know that normal news cycle where like people are just retweeting things that are happening on Ariel Hawani's show, and that's going on at the same time on the timeline. And I'm seeing every tweet about the Hawani show and the interviews, and I'm talking about just not giving a fuck,
Yep.
not caring a solitary iota of my soul, because what was really going on, the real life shit was just that tragic, man. Like yeah, that really broke me up, and I don't know if it's just the result of me, being an expectant father and
Mhm.
and having this sort of like emotional awakening or whatever it is, or if it's just that I'm a person and I give a shit about other people. but that just really broke me up, man. That's some terrible shit, man.
Yeah, and you got very personal, and well, Reen definitely is on your side. She has a son as well. I'm the only one on here who's not a parent or an expectant parent, but my younger sister is not that much older than this than Aniah Blanchard. So yeah, that kind of fucked with me too. And I'm glad that you said that too about how nothing mattered. Like honestly, I sent you guys this list of what we had on the docket a few hours before we started recording. Because honestly, up until like midday today, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't care. And there's decent news stories, but it's just like none of the shit really matters. And then we're gonna get into something else of something that happened earlier today that also made me really fucking angry. But yeah, Irene, I'll let you finish. Just I mean I don't know what else can be said, but as I said, Ant was talking about his situation, and then my family thing. I mean, what's your 2 cents if you even want to add anything?
No, I thought I had let it go because remember I earlier today I was like, yeah, I'm just lifting angry. I'm punching this bag angry, like because all this just it's heartbreaking. And then to see what happened with Cindy too, it's like, come on, can we just not do this to each other anymore? Can we just settle our differences in the fucking gym?
Yeah, and well, you said it right there, Irene, and you're the one that DM'd me this morning, and yeah, that was another bit of tragic news that we got this morning, and I am a big Cindy Dandois fan, and I think some people don't believe me about that because her fight style or whatever, but I genuinely do love the lady. She's very entertaining for me for whatever reason, but yeah, seeing this. Yeah, the way that you sent me Luke Thomas's tweet, Reen, and basically, yeah, he put his thing that is an alleged attack from her ex, and just seeing that picture was like, oh, and seeing the picture, and I was clearly she was in the hospital. I'm like, I knew she had to talk to the police, but then it came out later as I was reading the statement that she talked to the police, but she didn't press charges. And I don't know what it's like over there in Belgium. I mean, I don't know if that exact situation is what would have happened here, given how much damage she actually took, and given that this was an ex-boyfriend and not someone that was living with her. I mean, it's just that this is also infuriating, and it's really scary because I know it's not just that Cindy Dandel is a mother, but she's adopted a shitload of kids too. So shit like that really wigs me out. And yeah, having a bit of a personal connection in my own personal life and my own history, it really, really bothers me. And seeing, fighters you really, really like going through some bullshit like this. But what was your take when you saw this, Ant?
It just just another moment where I question how I feel about humanity. I just the idea of a man is so weak, so much of a coward, so much of a little bitch that he can't handle a woman just saying, "Hey, we're not together anymore," and the only thing that comes to your mind is now I'm going to do physical harm. Like, it's just trash. He's just a bitch. Like, and it's kind of it's just I don't know. I don't even know what else to say other than to call him a bitch. Well, what a clown. Yeah, and I use the word man very loosely when I talk about him.
No, and it sounded like it had been a while too. Like it's not like she broke up with him yesterday or something. It sounded like they'd been broken up with a while, and apparently we just today decided or yesterday, whenever this was, decided to unleash his whatever. I can't even call it frustrations because that's not what the fuck that is. Yeah, it's just a bitch.
He unleashed his bitch assness. That's what he did. But let's think on the bright side, everybody. Like maybe maybe he'll get hit by a bus and the world will be right. So to all you bus drivers out there, target that fool.
It was I wonder if he was just I don't know much about Cindy's partners or anyone she's been. I knew she dated Gegard Mousasi back in the day, years and years ago. So I highly doubt it's him. I guess the possibility is out there, but I highly doubt it's him. But they did say it was another. Yeah, they said it was another MMA fighter. So I wonder if it was just some some regional guy she knew at her local gym, or who knows if it's someone that we might know, someone who's been on a Bellator card or a ex-UFC fighter or something. Not that it matters, but it's like shit. I mean, there's plenty of guys on the roster right now that have that reputation and that record, you know. So,
Yeah.
Reen, you, like I said, you're the one that sent me this story, and yeah, I mean, you said you'd been angry, and with the Aniah Blanchard thing, and now this, like, I don't know how much you want to delve into this, but we kind of had a conversation through text message earlier today about this whole thing. Like, is there anything you want to comment on as far as the police and her handling of it, and her situation right now and all that?
Well, I don't know what the laws are over there, so I hope they do something because it seems like she feels a little guilty of what's going on, what might happen to this guy. Like she doesn't want him to go to prison. She just wants him to pay like hospital bills and whatnot. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I mean, if he did it to her, he might do it again. Maybe he did it prior. Who knows? We don't know this guy. So I hate the fact that, she's giving him power, especially, being a mom. Isn't she a teacher too?
Yeah, I mean I think the reason she's like adopted so many kids. I think she's gotten to know kids and from ex classes and whatever, that I think that's how she's come to adopt some of them, is that she knew kids with fucked up backgrounds. And I mean, Cindy, if you guys didn't know this about Cindy really is a saint, man. She loves children more than life itself. She really does. Her actions show that. But yeah, and it sucks that good people, meet other pieces of shit like this.
Well, I just hope that this is just emotions talking right now, and later on she gets a clear head and does the right thing. And that dude, whatever gym he steps into, I hope like somebody,
shit out of him.
Yeah, just goes a little extra during sparring, reap the fucking knee. I don't know, just handle it. Because if nobody else is gonna handle it, I'm sure all the gyms will.
He needs to train with Paul Harris. And see what's up in heel hooks.
Fucking man. Hey, only you can bring some levity to this shit, man. Because like I said, I have a certain background with this, so I can do a lot of dark humor. But shit, there's times where I'm like, not today, and I know how people can take it. But hey, props to you, man. And talking to you during the KSI stuff and during the 241 stuff. Like, hey, man, you really know how to bring the mood up, and that shit ain't easy. So props to you, dude.
Oh, thank you, man. That KSI and Logan Paul, man, we needed something. We needed something, man. They should have passed out weed in press row, man. Just to
dude, I was
through that.
I was telling Ant because I don't know. What was it the last fight I've been to? Oh well, this is a big surprise. Ooh, and 241, the Nate Diaz Pettis fight. I smelled weed in the crowd. I mean, I smell weed in basically any concert or fight I've been to, but I was very surprised that there was no weed at the KSI Logan Paul fight, at least from where we were sitting.
They were doing coke.
Well, yeah, probably.
Oh yeah, like that dude in that with that tight white shirt that kept dancing around and stuff on the floor level. You know he was coked out of his mind.
I think I missed him, dude.
He was coked out of his mind. Everybody listening, if you follow me on Twitter, scroll down my timeline and you will see a picture of this fool with half of his hair bleached. He looked like an idiot, and he was definitely coked out of his mind.
Did you take a picture of this guy?
I damn sure did. I took a picture of him on Twitter.
I gotta catch it, man. To be honest, I mean, you showed me some of your tweets, and I was looking through it during the fight. But I think once I got home, especially the next day, I tapped out. I know you were telling me that you had to write a review, and you're like, Jesus Christ, this is murder.
Yeah. Oh man, it was hard. It was so hard rewatching that fight, so I could write that article. It actually made my head hurt. Like I had a legitimate headache when it was all over with, and it was one of the rare times where it really felt like work. And normally, like all this MMA and boxing stuff, I just love doing it, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I got to put effort into it, of course, but it just feels like fun the entire time. Not that day. That was man. Like I'd rather write a term paper. I'd rather mow the lawn than write about KSI Logan Paul again.
Reen still hasn't seen the fight, and you're not really doing me a favor trying to entice her to watch it.
No, I actually experienced it through you guys. right.
Don't give me that shit, Reed. You need to watch it live.
I think I've seen enough with those porn stars, which you told me about. You later told me they were actual porn stars. Because I'm like, what?
Connoisseur juice.
Like, what the fuck are these bitches doing pissing on the floor?
They were pissing on the floor.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Tell him, man. Tell him.
One of the girls pissed on the floor because she couldn't go to the bathroom.
Oh,
no,
wow.
She was in the front row and she was about to get kicked out. They were all going to get kicked out, but they didn't get kicked out because they were porn stars.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. See, I don't like the thing about that fight. Like, just if you just watch the fight, I'm sure you'll be entertained because it was kind of an entertaining fight. It was just a weird atmosphere. Although it was the worst boxing technique you'll ever see in your life. You might as well watch a World Star Hip Hop fight. But the thing about it that gave me a headache the most is just reliving the experience of being there with
PTSD.
Yeah, it was crazy because like when I talk about the dude with the half bleach hair looking like a moron, and there was a guy in there in a fur coat, like straight up a fur coat, and it didn't even look like it was real fur. Like, you ever see that episode of Seinfeld where George had that hat that, like, he lost that expensive hat that was made out of some sort of like rare bird or something, and he found a knockoff hat that was made out of rat fur. Like, that's what his jacket looked like. It was rat fur, and he's walking around in Staples Center in Los Angeles with a mink coat or with this rat fur coat and shades on, like, and there was some other dude in there with a sparkling gold shirt. Like, this was like, I renamed Staples Center Fuckboi Plaza for the day. It was a disaster. It was just a clown show, and it was like rewatching that fight. It just brought it all back, man. It was very traumatic, and I haven't slept well since.
Oh my God, that's funny.
You were seconds away from pulling that line from Chappelle's show, huh? The silky mink made out of 100% rat.
Oh man, it was. I'm telling you, like, I wanted to just. I was losing my juice. You saw how I was. I was tripping at that fight. I wanted to punch through that table. It was so bad, but
too many white people.
No, it's not.
Sorry.
It was a little bit of everything.
Not even white people. It was races of all sorts acting like fuckboys in there.
That's what I told.
Wow.
Like, yeah, they were I saw plenty of Mexicans, a lot of black dudes. I think I seen some Asians, and then
multicultural simps. That's what it was.
And tell me if I'm wrong on this, Ant. Like, it seemed like, especially with all the fights we've gone to. I mean, Reen, you've been to fights too. There seems to be a big the ratios off between men and women. I feel this is one of the first fights I've been to where, like, I wouldn't say it's 50-50, but it was pretty close with how many women were there as opposed to men. Usually it's like one woman for every 4 guys. This one is like maybe 2 to 1 or less.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. Like, so if you watch, like, any big boxing event and you look at the crowd there, like, look at Mayweather Pacquiao or Mayweather McGregor, like, fights that kind of transcend just combat sports fans, and you'll see the crowd. A lot of it is not true combat sports fans. It'll be just rich people or famous people, and they just kind of want to be seen there. So they put on some attire that they think is fly, and they sit in the front, and and the cameras catch them. Like, KSI Logan Paul 2 was like everybody that got rejected from those fights came there.
That's so funny.
It was a clown show.
I imagine a bunch of, Justin Bieber's running around. So
Bieber definitely was there.
I tweeted that.
Was he?
All these dudes look like. I said, all these dudes here are dressed like Bieber. They're all like clones of him.
Yeah, and it was so many confused parents that like their kids just begged them to get tickets for this fight, and mom and dad had no idea what was going on. They just saw people in sparkling colored shirts and like, I guess a bunch of Twitch gamers and YouTubers and stuff were walking around the crowd, and all the kids knew who they were. They would lose their minds and run to them. Like, Devin Haney was in a fight, in a fight that was a lot more competitive than it should have been. And this is a real legitimate title fight with one of the best boxers in the world. And some guy who had a YouTube channel walks past with a funny colored shirt on, and all these kids just immediately take their eyes off the ring and they run down to try to get this dude's autograph. I felt old as hell because I didn't know who any of these people were. I saw one dude who I thought was Blueface, and he wasn't Blueface, but he looked kind of like Blueface, even up close. Blueface can't rap. This another story too. But I was very confused what was going on. This is when I realized, like, wow, I actually am pushing 40 years old. I don't belong here.
Yeah, yeah, and that KSI Logan Paul fight was like you said, it was entertaining. It was sloppy and fun, which I imagine is what a night with Riley Reid would be like. So
Oh
yeah,
yes,
we
it would.
can. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Most
Yeah,
certainly would.
sorry, and I had to throw that one in there. I had to throw a little dude humor in there, but we'll
That's
be.
funny.
Thank you for that. So
I'm
yeah.
gonna have to look her up. I'm just curious what her work
Uh,
is. It's for research purposes.
Yeah, I might have to look her up too. So
All right, so we kind of went over that depression with. Of course, we had to talk about KSI and Logan Paul to get over it because that's what that fight was good for.
you got to talk yourself out of the trauma.
For
That's really
sure,
what it is, man. You
for
got to talk
sure.
yourself through it. I'm here for you, Juice.
That's what the professionals tell you, man. You got to talk this shit out, and that's just what we did. So yes, thank you, man, and thank you, Reen. But yeah, let's talk about well, from here on out, it's kind of just all fight announcements. Um, so Showtime Pettis is Anthony Pettis is going back down to 155, and he's gonna fight Carlos Diego Ferreira on the January 18th card. I don't know what to call it because it seemed like this was supposed to be the Conor McGregor return, and it seems like that's not gonna happen anymore. So I don't know if this is still supposed to be a pay-per-view or just a fight night, or I have no idea. But I gotta give mad props to Showtime. This is a I want to say this is an appropriate fight, but man, Ferreira is on a roll and he's very dangerous. And honestly, I think he matches up very poor. Showtime matches up very poorly against Ferreira. That's just my 2 cents. Reen, what do you think about this one?
Oh, that's a tough matchup.
I mean, you and I have
Hey,
been on this train. Well, I don't even want to say train, but we've kind of believed in him, and then we haven't, and then as of late, we don't have a choice, right? We see how for real he is.
yeah, he's an animal. I mean, he got cardio for days too.
Which you would not think looking at him, you
Mm-mm.
know. Uh,
Mm-mm. Absolute animal. So this will be tough for him. Sorry, Anthony. I might have
I
to go for Haya.
Yeah, I for some reason I kind of see it going the way that the Nate Diaz fight went because they
Mm-hmm.
are kind of similar, except but the thing is Fajita hits harder, so it may be a little bit worse. He might even finish Pettis. What about you, man? What you think when you saw this one?
I was very confused when I saw this because as much as I like this fight from a competitive standpoint, you think a name the caliber of Anthony Pettis would have a bigger name opposite him, and especially in a division like lightweight where there are so many guys that you can classify as stars or at least names that register a bit beyond the hardcores. So that really, yeah, that really kind of threw me for a loop. I mean, I'm very curious to see what Pettis is going to look like returning to lightweight. He in the build up to 241, he was talking a lot about how much he enjoyed fighting at 170, and like there was one of the scrums that we did during media day. I think it was media day, either that or the one after the open workouts. He was talking about um, how much he enjoys doing media without the weight cuts. And it's like he's not cranking. He's just soaking in the atmosphere, and it was a good time, and he's pleasant with everybody, and he's smiling, he's cracking jokes and stuff. I wonder if he's going to be like nasty and angrier and more mean spirited leading up to this fight when he is back, trying to cut that water weight in the sauna. I wonder if that's going to affect him at all. I think from the fight itself, I'm leaning toward Pettis just because it's hard to lean away from him unless you're talking about one of the clear elites in either the lightweight or welterweight divisions. So for that, I'm going to lean toward Pettis right now, but it should be an interesting one for multiple reasons.
So you still got a little bit of doubt with Fajita. You haven't seen enough out of him.
No, no, it's not down in Fajeda. It's just still having faith in Pettis. The-
Gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha.
because he's really Pettis hasn't duplicated the success he's had, since his days as the Wheaties box guy. But he's done a lot of things against a lot of good fighters, and he's only lost to the very best.
Yeah,
Like Tony Ferguson and and Max Holloway and stuff. Like he's lost to the best names out there, and that just Diego Ferreira, is he one of those guys? Like I don't know yet.
gotcha. It's a good point you brought up about him. I didn't know him. I didn't know about him saying those comments about him enjoying doing media work, which I don't think any fucking fighter does. So that says a lot. But then I've also heard fighters say that they actually like cutting weight, even if it is murderous, because they want to have that anger. They want to just be like, get the fuck away from me, and I'm pissed off, and it gets them in the mood to fight, I guess, And but I didn't get that vibe from Showtime because he's done it so long. It's like, well, he knows how to fight, and he's this is not his first rodeo. He knows what to do. But who knows? Maybe he did miss a little that literal hunger. Maybe he thinks that's what's missing to get him to win some fights. So yeah, maybe he realized that once he reflected on the Nate Diaz fight, or maybe one of his coaches or someone came to him with that and said maybe that's what you need. Another fight that was announced, Paige Van Zandt's final fight on UFC contract. Jesus Christ, this girl not taking an easy one. She's gonna fight Amanda Ribas in Brazil in March. As an event supposed to take place in Brasilia. I've been high. I mean, I don't think I knew Amanda Ribas too much before the Mackenzie Dern fight, but what she did to Dern, oof, that was not pretty. And if
That's
things go
Mama
that
Dern
way,
to you.
Mom, do we really need to talk about that, Reen? And so in case you don't know, Reen and I would fucking roast Mackenzie Dern on the regular pre-baby. And Reen had this famous line on the show where she said that she was mocking Dern, saying that she'll having a kid. Because I said, I'm like, what if she's like Cowboy, like Dad Cerrone, and what if it's Mama
Yeah,
Dern?
I think I was on that show.
Yeah, possibly, but yeah, she was mocking her, and I was like, watch, she's gonna get her shit together, and she did, but she still lost. But yeah, she was rusty, and Ribas is on a whole other level, and that was a spirited ass whooping. But Paige Van Zandt is not even near Mackenzie Dern's level, I think. So I don't even know how this can go. I think this is gonna be just a bloodbath. So I'll start with you, Reen. What do you think?
I like it. I'm glad she didn't take that Macy Barber fight.
Yeah, preach there, sister, preach there.
I mean, that little girl, yeah, DMing her husband and trying to get a fight with her. Like people are saying, yeah, Paige is scared of Macy. No, she has a point to this, right? Props to her for standing her ground and taking this tough ass fight. Good luck to her, man. I wonder how her arm is going to be because didn't she break the same one twice?
That or she was like having complications, like she was taking
Yeah,
more time.
I don't think it ever properly healed. It was,
Yeah, one
yeah,
of
I think
those
it got
deals.
infected or something, and yeah.
I wonder how it's going to be. So props to her. I don't know if she'll ever resign with the UFC. So, I mean, if she wants to go out with the bang, here it is.
Yeah, and as I said, I'm with you there, Reen. And before I ask you what you think of the fight, and of course I do want your opinion of it, but you're probably the most professional person I know regarding the MMA media. I don't know too many personally, but
You got to get
you're a
out
total
more.
pro. You're a total. Well, I haven't been to as many, actual events as you. I don't count like KSI and Logan Paul, but I like your take on things. And Reen and I'm not keen on Macy. Reen was kind of so, and then she kind of soured on her with the whole DMing the husband stuff. But you, as a respected media member, what do you think about just that whole ordeal of Macy trying to get a fight with Paige and the antics she's doing to try and get it?
I mean, this is fresh out the Conor McGregor playbook. Like this is the tactics that everyone is resorting to now that you see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So I'm not really surprised by it. I mean, I understand from Paige Van Zandt's point of view to take it personal and to not want to fight her and to make that Instagram post where she she names everyone in the division but her. Like, I understand that, because she is being personally attacked, and you're trying to alter the sanctity of someone's marriage, and that's a deeply personal thing that can get you fucked up out in the streets. So
Yes, yes, you know what's up, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Both you
So that,
guys know.
yeah, so
Hmm.
that's not anything to play with, but I'm not surprised one bit. Um, so I don't really have a negative opinion about her necessarily for that. I will say though that Paige Van Zandt is probably the easiest name that you can target to boost yourself up without risking, your undefeated record. And that's not to say that PVZ hasn't proven herself to be a legitimate fighter. She has. She's tough as hell. I mean, she's not the most skilled out of the pool of fighters, but she definitely hangs in there and she's tough and she'll give you everything that she has. So for that, she deserves our respect. I get what Macy's doing. I don't necessarily like it, but it is a symptom of a overall problem in the sport, if you want to call it a problem.
Yeah, and I kind of alluded to this with Rain in a previous episode. I said I kind of think that I don't want to say Macy doesn't know any better. She's young, so her judgment is not great to begin with. But like I think, like look how young she is. As far as her professionally, she only has a few fights, and she's only been watching MMA for a few years. She came up. I mean, her role model was kind of Ronda, because that's when she started watching when she was a teenager, and then right after Ronda's Connor. So it's like, yeah, this is kind of all she's seen. This is the whole, like nature versus nurture thing. It's like, well, this is how she was nurtured when she came into the sport. This is the shit that was going on. So in a way, I feel like she kind of doesn't know better.
Well, I was reading that her dad is the one that controls all the pieces.
Oh,
So,
That sounds wonderful.
so yeah, like he kind of does all this. So I mean,
Yeah,
if you want your daughter to get her ass beat on the streets, then keep on
that just
doing
sounds
what you're
even
doing.
worse. Like
Yeah.
one of the worst things that ever happens in combat sports are parents being directly involved with coaching and management. That it always ends up in disaster. So,
Stephen Thompson's like the sole exception. Like
yeah,
literally, I can't think of another one.
and Stephen Thompson is from my experience, like he's probably the nicest person that I've ever met in MMA. He's probably the like just genuinely sweetest person in the whole MMA
He
world.
might be one of the nicest people you could ever meet. He's like fucking Mr. Rogers of MMA, man.
Yeah, he's probably, man. Wonder Boy's got to be like a serial killer or something. Like, he's nice. He's suspiciously nice, man. I'm watching you, Wonder Boy. I'm watching you, homie. Yeah, man. I the whole parents, and like particularly fathers, like a father being involved in a fighter's camp is definitely a red flag most of the time, and I think MMA has or boxing has a lot more examples of this, but just in general, I think like Jordan Means' dad, that led to some issues. Obviously,
Right.
the Northcutt family. There's been some hiccups in Sage's career as a result of his father being involved. Yeah, that's something you want to steer clear of in general.
Yeah, it's just funny you brought up Sage. I was about to say, I know this isn't really a cultural thing. It doesn't happen here in the States, but is there any way there can be an arranged marriage between Sage Northcutt and Macy Barber? It would just make so much goddamn sense.
It would no the baby would just be like one muscle. It wouldn't even. It would be like a chiseled muscle with like a very defined chin. Um, yeah, no, thank you.
No, thank you. Oh man, I can't even imagine Sage with a woman like Macy because I don't even think I don't even know how he could understand someone like Macy. He's such a goody two shoes, and this woman
Man,
is
man,
trying to fuck up
you
a
think Sage is a
company.
goody two? Man, Sage out there beating cheeks. I'm telling you, man.
You
Sage
really
is
think so?
Sage is out there beating cheeks.
I'm still convinced he's a virgin. I don't know why. I do. I really
Man,
think he buys into the Jesus thing like hook, line, and sinker.
ain't nothing freakier than a Christian. Let me tell you that.
Well, I've always said that about Holly Holm myself too. So I'm like, yeah, that preacher's daughter name. It ain't just literal. I think there's other shit going on there too.
We see as a man whose wife is asleep right beside him. I will say that I know nothing about anything a preacher's daughter can do for you.
Good on you, Ant. You're a good man. So I guess I guess to continue with the actual topic at hand. So Paige and Hivas, well, I mean, what are you expecting here, Ant?
I'm expecting Paige Van Zandt to have an extremely unceremonious goodbye from the UFC, and this is something that we've seen before. Like the UFC will, especially if you openly say that you want more money and you're going to fight your contract out. If you mention those words and you have any sort of friction for the upper executive level of the promotion, they match you up with one of the stylistically just roughest people you can. They'll probably bury it on the prelim somewhere, and they will lower your negotiating power as you exit as much as possible. And that's what they're trying to do with PVZ because she's someone who I mean, she was just talking about this a couple months back that she makes more money for posting on Instagram than she does from fighting. So this is someone with a considerable amount of star power. Yeah, they'll cut into that as much as they possibly can. Just give her that one final middle finger before she leaves the door, and probably will end up at Bellator with her husband.
Yeah, I see that happening because she's been cornering him. She's been at these events with Chris Cyborg. So I kind of see that going, Paige going that in that direction. And yeah, she does make a lot of money off of Instagram. That's why she's like, fuck it, I'm not gonna fight Macy. I don't care how much money you throw at me. I don't need it. I just want a good fight, and I just want to bounce. That's it.
Yeah, as you should. If you can make money by not getting hit upside the head, take it. Like getting hit upside the head is not healthy. Newsflash. It doesn't last forever, but she'd have a much better career, or safer career modeling or being a spokesperson or whatever she does on Instagram. I don't know. I never follow her, but yeah, you're much better off not getting hit if you can make more money by not getting hit. So take that route.
I wonder if she's gonna make the weight though. Like she's dropping the straw weight.
Yeah, that was. Thank you for bringing that up, Rena. I was gonna bring that up, and yeah, I actually did not even think about that when I saw it. I swore that he was a flyweight, and honestly, maybe she should be. She's kind of a big girl for the division, but yeah, I mean, she's going down. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I really don't even know why she took this fight, but yeah, props to her because when I saw this when I tweeted, I was like, yeah, if she can do this, and I mean this with no exaggeration. Maybe you guys can disagree with me here, but if she beats Hebus, I really think this will go down like almost up there with Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey as far as upsets in women's MMA.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so, because from what I've seen of Hebus, like I have seen no real weakness, and especially in this matchup, I don't really see what Paige can do here. This isn't just an issue of there's one very skilled fighter compared to another one who's not as skilled. The matchup just does not work out well in general, even if they were similarly skilled.
Well, I'm not doubting your pick because my pick is for Rebus as well. But I'm thinking more so like you think that it would be considered an upset.
Well, okay, yeah, I know what you're saying because of Paige's popularity, because people would pick on her, just kind of marking out.
Yeah, I guess in that sense, yeah. Yeah, okay, because even when we talk about the Holm and Rousey fight, like up until that point, I mean that there definitely were a few people that were leaning toward Holm because of
Yeah,
the external things going on in Rousey's camp, and it was definitely it was a very I shouldn't even say a vocal minority because they weren't really that vocal. It was very sheepish voices that were saying that Holm could win this fight. But at the time, like Holm hadn't shown anything like she showed against Rousey. Like it wasn't up until that point. It was like pretty, mundane performances. So it's kind of hard for me to even frame these two fights in that same sort of context. Aside
gotcha.
from the popularity factor, that's the only reason why I question that at all.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah, you make a good point. I'm saying, I guess, as someone who follows women's MMA very, very closely and knowing how skilled some of these women can be. It's like, yeah, as far as the skill goes, this is up there. And I say this as a guy who once picked Paige to beat Rose Namajunas, and
Whoa.
and oh my, yes,
Whoa.
no,
What?
don't get me wrong. Yeah, this is a dirty little secret of mine that some people know. Here's the thing: when that fight got announced, I still remember Paige was supposed to fight Joanne Calderwood. Rose was a last minute replacement, and she was favored against Joanne at the time. Joanne wasn't really that good, and I was like, I wasn't that high on Paige, but honestly, I wasn't that high on Rose because I'd seen her submit. You know, that was in the time when she was just choking every girl out, and I was like, you know what, Paige is. I know she's not great, but I think she can handle herself. If there's a grappling match, if there's a stand-up match, like I don't know. Like I think she could just bull rush her enough in spots to get like a like a 48-47 decision. And then it turns out Rose Namajunas can box like a motherfucker, and I look like a goddamn fool.
That's the fight that Paige was bloody in.
And this is what I think Kivas is gonna make her look worse than this. Honestly, I'm positive she's gonna see a plastic surgeon after this fight.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and I don't mean that to
not just her titty.
Yeah, not because of that. Yeah, because her face is really gonna need it. Because I don't think this is gonna be good. That girl hits hard, and her jiu-jitsu is fucking fire too. So. All right, yeah, we've said a lot about that fight. So, I guess to move on from MMA really quickly, big fight just got announced a little bit before we came on. It looks like Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 2 is happening. It's scheduled for February 22nd. Venue has not really been said. They said most likely Vegas. I guess that's to be determined as of yet. Deontay Wilder knocked the fuck out of Luis Ortiz last week, and I did not see the fight. I saw the highlight. And okay, I'm gonna start with you here, Ant. Yeah, I know you're a boxing fan too, and if you've heard me at some point in the show, anytime I bring up Wilder, I just get red in the face because this dude's not a fucking boxer. He's not a boxer. And I hate that people put him up there. I understand he's a great heavyweight because of his record, but I just cannot give this dude any credit. He's such a porous boxer in like so many fucking ways. Like, has he really improved, or is there something I'm not seeing here?
I don't think he's really improved. I mean, maybe in small ways, like his footwork is a little bit better. He's a little bit more patient sometimes, but I mean at the same time though, he doesn't really have to get any better. Like he's sleeping fools with one shot, and it's nuts. It's just like I don't think he could have said it any better. It's like you have to be perfect for 12 rounds. He only has to be perfect for 2 seconds.
God damn him!
Like that.
Damn him so much.
It's really it. Like I was at the first Wilder Fury fight, and it was like Fury was clearly the better boxer. He clearly was. Doesn't mean he won the fight though. So it's pretty amazing to see the true equalizer his power is. At this point you can't really deny what he's been able to accomplish because he's not only just sleeping fools, but he's also sleeping the highest caliber of fools. To put out Luis Ortiz like that, first of all, it was a fight that he really shouldn't have taken anyway. He should not have taken a rematch with Ortiz.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like it was like he had nothing to gain from this, but he adds another piece to his highlight reel. Like every guy that they put in front of him, for the most part, it's like real legit dudes, and he's putting them out. So I can't be mad at it.
I was reading that he was actually losing the fight up until that point, the 7th round, right? That knockout.
Did you catch it, Ant? Because I know I didn't. I don't think Green did either.
No, I didn't. I actually, my last Saturday was my baby shower, so I got home in time to watch it, but I was so tired I just fell asleep. So and I I saw some clips later on, but I hadn't had a chance to go back and watch it. Like it doesn't surprise me at all. Like he hits that hard, and he's that much of an athletic freak where all it takes is one momentary lapse of judgment, and your head is being detached from your shoulders.
I, I've I, I've literally seen nothing besides the 5 seconds prior to the knockout. I know nothing of this fight. I did see the first fight. I caught it. I think I caught it live, and I was going nuts because I was going for Ortiz all the way. Like, fuck this guy. This guy can't box for this shit. And I was right. Like up before the knockout, he was doing pretty good and he was winning. And then he lands a fucking shot and it was all over. Like, god damn it. God damn this guy to hell, man. Oh my god, my hatred of him knows no bounds. I'm sorry. It just and like I always say, like, could you imagine if this dude was a lightweight? Like, imagine if you put him up against Lomachenko with his skills that he has. Imagine a dude like Lomachenko, a guy like Garcia, a guy like Spence, Crawford. Could you imagine what these dudes would do to him? But he's big and he's strong and it's heavyweight, and that's what fucking happens.
Yeah. You talk about there's nobody who symbolizes heavyweight prize fighting better than Deontay Wilder. There's no one else.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, there's no one else that can give you the truest in what being a heavyweight prize fighter is.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is true.
You gotta give him credit, though, right, Juice? I mean, you saw that knockout. You saw that knockout. It was beautiful.
It's a hell of a knockout. I mean, the Ortiz is 55 years old. I mean, he's gonna get his AARP fucking thing next month. But I mean, yeah, props to him. He's aged 10 years since they last fought, Rain. Yes, I know them Cubans are tricky like that.
Hey, I mean, Ortiz. Nobody else was really trying to fight Ortiz. No one else of note, and especially with the big money fights that Wilder had on the line. Had he lost that fight, like we are just only like months removed from Anthony Joshua just really throwing the bag out the window, against Andy Ruiz. So that's what can happen when you start taking fights that you don't have to take. And shit, I mean, he went in there, took the risk, and look at that, another highlight reel to his collection. Black Power.
No, man, no. God damn, you're gonna turn me all racist here all of a sudden. God damn it. Okay, Reen. What? So, any thoughts on this one? I still have yet to see the first one. I know Ant covered it live. I've seen the highlights, but I've never seen the whole first fight. I got to try and get a hold of it. But knowing what you know about the first fight and now seeing a few Tyson Fury fights, what do you think about this one, Reen?
I don't know. I mean, you guys made great points about his power. Because I thought, after this, yeah, maybe Tyson has a chance to just really, take it to him and win this next one. But I don't know now. Especially with Tyson Fury doing this, like, wrestling match and training with Darren Till. I'm like, what are you doing? Shouldn't you be sitting out and just, like training and not risking injury? I mean, he had that nasty cut with what?
Yeah.
With Otto?
That was September. That wasn't even that long ago. People forget about that fight.
Yeah, and then he had the WWE match on October 31st, and he was still healing up. And I'm like, aren't you taking some risks there? So, I mean, yeah, it's wrestling, but you still have a potential to get hurt and open up that cut again. And wouldn't that cause a problem with this matchup with Wilder?
And that's the thing with boxing too, Reen, is that this isn't MMA. Like, it's unlikely that Dana would ever sign off on this, or should even Scott Coker in some instances. But boxers can do basically whatever they want. So yeah, he's just walking to the beat of his own drum right here.
Right, and that isn't this a setup to possibly fight whoever wins the Joshua fight?
Seems the most likely.
That's what we're hoping, but yeah, I'm not exactly holding my breath for that to happen.
Oh shit! All the politics.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's why I can't hang with boxing too much, because it's worse than UFC, and you know how I feel about the UFC sometimes.
Oh yeah, you karate hottie still has your undying hatred, huh?
Yeah.
What did she do? Did I open up a can of worms just now?
Not really. Green, you want to tell him?
Just this. Okay, she signed with WME, so I just hate the fact that she thinks she's entitled to this title fight. And this was before she fought. Who did she fight last? Joanna, right. So I was just like, well, pump the brakes. Hold on. You're not entitled to this just because you've been in the top 10. You still have all these other girls that you have to get past, to get that title shot. So, yeah, that whole entertainment aspect of it. I keep forgetting that it's not just a sport. You know what I mean? It's entertainment sport, right?
Yeah.
Sports entertainment.
Reen's a woman of principle. She doesn't like this backroom deals. Somebody that knows somebody type of bullshit,
You just triggered me again.
So yeah, I mean, we got this on the docket. I guess it's looks like it's happening. It'll be a hell of a fight. Hell, I may actually get it this time. Last time I wanted to get it, but my hatred of Wilder would not let me do it. But honestly, I think I'm even more intrigued now because of Fury's last fight. I don't know if that was just a hiccup that he had or if he's kind of losing it. But if this is the way it's going to turn out, then hell, Wilder wins this one. I may not ever talk shit about him again. So there's a lot of stakes on the line for me, I guess, because I love talking shit about that man. But anyway, we can continue to do this all day.
Yeah, let's get off your hatred of black fighters. But anyway,
it's just one, man. It's just one, and King Mo, but that's another.
So what do you think about Tyron Woodley? All right, let me start.
You know what? I'll be honest. I've never had strong feelings about him one way or the other. I thought he was boring. I could say that he's kind of boring at times, but I've come to appreciate him with time. You were there too, Ant, for his fight against Damian Maia. I was one of the few people in that crowd not booing, not out of respect or anything like that. It was just I knew what to expect. I knew that that's possibly what could have happened, and it seemed like the crowd forgot about that. And looking back at it, it's everybody ended up beating Maia in that way after that. He kind of, not that Maia had never been beaten before that, but he kind of did the blueprint. This is the easiest, most direct way to beat him. So he's one of those guys I came to appreciate with time. And after hearing his commentary, it took me a while to actually understand his commentary too. When I first heard him, he's not really saying anything that, that unique or anything. Then I started really listening. Man, this dude's really smart. He sees shit that nobody else is seeing. People are always talking about Dominic Cruz and shit. And once I started hearing little bits and pieces he would say, I was like, damn, he's really fucking good. I actually wish that he could get on the actual broadcast with Anik and Joe and them. But I still don't think that has happened as of yet. But I don't know. I don't know if he's still into it too. I know he's rapping and acting and doing all kinds of stuff. So I don't know if he's even interested in that. I don't know if he's just going to continue to be on the ESPN desk but not doing actual commentary.
Here I am trying to just tell just a silly joke, and you go in with this intelligent answer. Get the fuck out of here with that.
Nah, yeah, it took me a while, man. It's just Wilder and King Mo, those probably my most hated boxer, most hated MMA fighter. But I can't even be mad at King Mo anymore because after that knockout, that just made me sad. Who I've hated King Mo since day one. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe if like I said, if Wilder knocks out Fury this time, won't be able to say shit. But we're getting to the end of the show, so let's talk about some. Well, let's delve into this fucking clown show with Gina Carano and Dana White. So Gina Carano did her first interview with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour. It's her first appearance ever, and they talked about all kinds of stuff. But the thing that everyone's attention went to is how the Ronda Rousey fight fell through, and it sounds like she wanted 6 months. She was agreeing. She said, just give me 6 months to get a camp together and to train. And Dana started strong-arming about, going to the media and, this fight's happening and all this and that. And she wasn't on board with his antics. And, he just kind of just got fed up with her shit and decided not to go with it. So I'll start with you, Irene. What was your thoughts when you saw this?
Dana texted her on accident and called her a little bitch or something. This bitch isn't going to sign, or he says some shit, and she
She's
got,
fucking us around. This bitch is fucking with us or something.
yeah, man, you asshole. I mean, seriously, and he's like, yeah, I meant to send it to you, but later on apologized. You bitch. God, I hate him so much. I mean, he's the worst, man. Like, a lot of great fights have just, like, never happened because of him.
In the UFC, I think we tend to see most of the fights that we want, so people kind of forget about some shit like this. But when things like this come up, you just start to think, we never got GSP versus Anderson. We never got, there's plenty of fights to go off of. Well, we're gonna talk about another one in just a second, but like there's a handful of fights that people want to see that never happened, or they happened but way past when they should have. Like Chuck Liddell and Vanderlei Silva is a good example. But this one, like, yeah, was it gonna be competitive? No, but was it gonna be fun? And what did it blown the sport up?
Yeah.
Possibly to a level that that it's not even at now. Hell yeah, I would have. And because of him being petty and him not wanting to fork over a little bit more money or just make very small concessions. Gina was actually being very nice, I think, by saying 6 months because that wasn't doing a favor to herself. But
She had to
I think,
gather a fight team.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's not a lot of time when you're one, not in fight shape,
Hmm.
and two, you don't even have an actual training camp. You're
Mm-hmm.
just you're just out acting and you're not fighting at all. Like
Yeah.
that 6 months is nothing.
Yeah, a year would have been reasonable with most people in most situations, but you know what, Anna, I'll let you go here because we were talking off air and it sounded like you definitely had your 2 cents to chip in here, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, man, I was surprised. I was just as surprised as I wasn't surprised because we know that the heavy-handed negotiating tactics of Dana White, we've heard a lot of stories about this before, but to have something so blatant and so unnecessary like this was just ridiculous. Like, so we heard a lot about the negotiations between the UFC and Fedor's camp when the 30 times they tried to bring him into the UFC, and it was a lot of back and forth about like, well, M1 co-promoting and whether or not they were going to let Fedor do combat sambo and stuff. It was all these sort of things that you kind of understand the UFC side. It's like, okay, we understand why they didn't want to co-promote with M1. We understand why they didn't want Fedor to compete in combat sambo with him being, instantly being one of the biggest stars in the UFC. All those make sense. This Gina Carano thing makes zero sense. It makes no sense at all. It doesn't disrupt any timeline. To wait for a fighter to be available in 6 months is not long at all, especially when you're talking about a fight of that magnitude. That's really not a very long period of time. It doesn't even hold up Rousey defending her bantamweight title much at all. Um, you just sat at the table with the woman, and this was the only thing that she asked for. This was the one thing she said, "Hey, let me actually have a shot at like training for this fight." And you can't let her do that without texting her and calling her a bitch. Like, come on now, bro. What did you hope to accomplish with that? That's what kind of confuses me the most. It's like, what are you hoping to accomplish with this? And there's no end game that's beneficial to any party involved because the UFC lost out on a huge payday. Gina Carano lost out on her chance to re-enter the MMA world and on such a big stage. Ronda Rousey lost a chance at what could have been a legacy-defining fight. No one benefits from this, all because you just had to do that. I'm not getting it. Like, I think this is another example of how the UFC has succeeded in despite itself. Somehow or another, the UFC just falls upward, and throughout the numerous mistakes that they've made as a promotion, throughout the marketing snafus and certain things that just seem like they make all the sense in the world that just don't seem to happen for any sort of arbitrary, stupid reason. But somehow they're still the top brand in the sport, and they're still pushing boundaries, and they're making just boatloads of money every day. It ain't because of smooth negotiating tactics like that. Like Dana White clearly has the finesse of a chainsaw. If this is how he operates.
But what's crazy is kind of to like bring it back to what we were talking about earlier with Paige and all that. Like, like what you were saying about her situation, they're gonna probably put her on the prelims, and I find a very tough, good fighter, but a fighter that very few people know, and she's gonna lose. It's her last fight in her contract, and they're just gonna send her ass to the corner. It's funny that just a few years ago, like, remember, like, Nate Diaz was like one of the guys talking about it so much too, like, oh, look how much support they're giving this little white boy Sage and this this pretty girl Paige Van Zandt, and well, look where they're at now. It's like they will flip on you in a dime. And I think people even got to remember too. Even Connor, remember the whole deal with this was exactly what happened. I mean, with the Nate Diaz rematch, he said, "I want to do so much media. I want to focus on fighting," and they pulled his ass off the card. Yeah. Like, yeah. As far as the whole concessions thing of like giving people time, like, yeah, they just don't get the patience. They've never heard the whole patience is a virtue saying. So yeah, you're right. Like this does nothing for nobody. And as I was saying about Paige and Sage, Dana definitely seemed to like them. And I remember him saying nothing but positive things about Gina, especially because the Cyborg fight. It was going, oh, look at fucking Cyborg. She looks like a man. And Gina was still kind of beating her ass before she lost and this and that. Like, sounded like he liked her just for the fact of like, you were the one to do best against Cyborg before, Nunes knocked her out. And once she kind of said, like, hey, let me just get this and this, like, nah,
no,
we ain't cool with you no more.
Like think about this. Like, the amount of time that they gave CM Punk to prepare.
Oh, shit. I never thought about that.
Like, CM Punk, when he got signed, what was it, UFC, 185 or something that they announced that?
Yeah.
He had a year, right?
181.
Oh, 181. It was
I think it was like 2.5 years.
Yeah, and he actually debuts in the UFC far after that at was it UFC 203, I think it was.
203, yep.
So, I mean, consistency, folks.
Yep. I don't even know what else to say there. Any I know you kind of said your piece, Shane, but any parting words on that one?
Just bully tactics, man. I wonder if anybody's gonna tell us other stories of what Dana's done.
Oh, they'll come out for sure.
Oh, yeah.
This is just the beginning.
I'm waiting for the tell-all book. The
lawsuit is still happening. I mean, whether it comes to pass or these guys get what they want, it's all gonna come out eventually for sure.
That's why I call it Mickey Mouse. It's the highest, promotion.
Yeah.
They have all this power, but all these supposedly great people behind them, supporting them, WME and whatnot. But they still run it like a shit show.
Okay, so there's two last things, and they're big stories, but they're also kind of nothing stories. So I kind of wanted to put them together and just get your guys' thoughts on it. Reen, you and I talked last week about Mayweather possibly coming back in 2020 because that's what's insinuated, and it may be under Zuffa Boxing. I kind of wanted to get Ant's words on that and just if anything has changed since then, especially that a lot of people are speculating it's going to be Masvidal, and I even saw prior to the show that Canelo is even semi intrigued by Masvidal, but wouldn't actually take it because he knows it wouldn't really be a challenge. So I just want your guys' quick thoughts on that. As basically as far as 2020 goes, with Floyd Mayweather's possible return, saying there may be 2 fights, and Dana announcing that once again Khabib and Tony Ferguson is supposed to be scheduled for April in Brooklyn, just like it was for 223 last year. So I'm of the opinion with Khabib and Tony. I don't believe it till they're in the cage. This is what I was saying about John Jones and DC too, because that was never gonna happen. And fortunately, that happened. Uh, Dick pills and all, or whatever might have happened. That fight happened, and we were all there in the arena to see it. Luckily or unfortunately enough. So that's my take on that one. And as far as Mayweather, I mean, I think he's just talking, and that this could possibly just go nowhere. But Mayweather just always does his own thing, and he's always keeping his name out there. So I'll start with you, Reen.
The same as you. I'll believe when I see it. Is Gaethje tapped to be the backup just in case? What's going on with him? Because
I haven't seen that. I know a lot of fans are saying that maybe Gaethje should get the winner of Khabib and Ferguson, and who the hell knows if that's a long time. So I don't know if he's gonna wait or there's other deserving guys or whatever. But that's the only thing I've seen regarding Gaethje.
Yeah, I was wondering what was going on with him because there's no fight lineup for him, so he's going to be sitting out for a while.
Yeah, and well, the amount of fights that he takes and how much damage he takes is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, he probably needs to sit down for a second.
That's true.
Just a second.
This whole Floyd Mayweather thing, I don't know what to think of it.
So you don't think there's a possibility he fights Jorge or some MMA fighter, as everyone's speculating?
I don't think so.
Everyone's also bringing up, well, Conor again, obviously, and then Pacquiao, because they're saying he might actually fight a boxer.
Who knows what Floyd is doing?
So you're kind of on the same thing, like it may be bullshit or it may not be.
He's 170, and what's Mayweather? He fights at what weight class?
Yeah, like 154-ish. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, like that's him bigger. Like I think he was better at like 147.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but he, for the Conor fight, he came in at 154. At least that was the official weight. I think he weighed in like 152 or something like that.
Yeah, he was just saying fuck it at that point because he knew he didn't have to train for him,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wonder what's gonna happen. I mean, just the whole weight issue. I think he's gonna probably, place stipulations on it. Just like he did with the Conor fight. All these different rule sets and. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, why?
So you're not holding your breath for Mayweather?
No.
And basically not holding your breath for Khabib and Ferguson in a way either?
No, because come on, how many times? No. PTSD. How many times was that? 4 or 5 times it was supposed to happen and it didn't?
I know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result, but I don't. Come on. All MMA fans are insane to one point or another, so that's not really an insult at this point. I just want the goddamn fight, but yeah.
Same here. Like, I'm excited. I'm excited that Tony tweeted that video or posted on his Instagram. Like, I'm hyped for it. I'm excited, but like Nate Diaz, unless he is in that cage, I'm not going to believe it.
Hey, I'll put it this way with that Khabib and Tony fight. I mean, they're announcing this 5 months before it's supposed to actually happen. Like, if you announce that fight 5 minutes before it's supposed to happen, I'd be doubting that it's actually going to happen. So, I'm just not getting my hopes up. Like, I'm excited to see it, but I was excited for other times, and it is what it is. Like, a lot can happen in 5 months, so we just got to see what develops. And I still think Conor McGregor can throw a monkey wrench in these plans. And I hate to say that because he shouldn't. He doesn't deserve a piece of any lightweight title legitimacy right now. But it's certainly possible that his presence can alter what happens next. So I'm holding out any sort of excitement and any sort of real expectations for this fight going down the way they say it's going to go down.
Ah, damn, man, that's just sad. Honestly, I think I'd be happier with a fight cancellation than if Conor took the place of one of these guys. Well, I don't know if Conor fought Ferguson, that's at least interesting, but I don't want to see Conor and Khabib again, man.
Yeah, not without any sort of real growth in him as a fighter, without any successes in the courtroom, if you know what I'm talking about. Like, I just have no interest in that right now.
Yeah, gotcha. And then Well, what about the whole Mayweather thing? I mean, you think he's just keeping his name out there and trying to promote some
Um,
shit, or what? What?
I probably this is the thing. Like Mayweather, every several months or so, he decides that he's gonna pick up MMA fans and pet them and play with them like a toy, and this is what he does all the time. Like he done jumped in the cage with no shoes on. He's
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
He was talking about he was going to box Khabib and all sorts of stupidity. Like I don't believe him. I think this is him trying to use MMA for another publicity stunt. And I think the only remotely significant news that comes out of this, maybe he's involved with Zuffa boxing and the Pacquiao fight happens under that banner. And I want to say, my homie Jay Petrie of Sherdog, he suggested this was a possibility. That makes sense to me. That makes some form of sense to me, and that would be legitimate news. Now, if Mayweather actually ends up boxing Jorge Masvidal, or he rematches Conor, or he actually boxes Khabib, like those are all three really stupid things that don't need to happen. And yes, they would be events that people would watch, but there's not legitimate news of any sort. It's not even, yeah, just get all the way the fuck up out of here with that. And this I'm so sick of this whole boxing MMA attempted crossovers. Like Fury does not want smoke with any fighter in a cage. Um, Masvidal and his coaches would be very surprised by how quickly and easily Canelo would annihilate him. And Mayweather at 70 years old would smoke everybody in MMA in a boxing match. So it's just not even. This isn't even fair. This is a stupid conversation. Yet somehow or another, we keep having it because they keep forcing us to have it, and I hate this shit.
Yep, that's why I put it at the end. And I was just like, just say your quick 2 words on it, because we can be here all day and literally just say nothing. It's like, yeah, but what about that? But hey, you know what? Shout outs to Jay. He is a very smart guy, and yeah, I'd never thought about that either. That seems like the most reasonable assumption too of him and Pacquiao doing it again and doing it under Zuffa boxing. Because yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, do you think he's playing Dana too? Which it's not impossible to do. It's happened before, but yeah, I'm sure that could be. Yeah, that seems like the most concrete thing you can say. Like, yep, that seems very, very reasonable. So yeah, good analysis there, Ant, and then shout outs to Jay for that idea. So yeah, I guess we'll just leave it here. We still did almost 90 minutes on this with no fights at all. Having a guest will do that, but yeah, there was plenty of stuff to talk about too. So, and want to thank you for coming on and for sharing your words of wisdom. Let the peeps know where they can find you.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for having me on. Pleasure to do it as always. So let me know anytime. I'm ready to jump in. And you can find me on Twitter at Ant Walker MMA. You can find my words on Sherdog.com. And you can also follow my YouTube channel, The Walkout Network. So do a lot of do some post-fight shows on there. And the panel discussion show Unleashed that Juice has guested on. So, Reem, we got to have you on soon.
Yes. I like your show. You guys have really good chemistry. I was talking to Juice about that on last week's show.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So I think I subscribed too. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I hit the subscribe button.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for helping the Walkout Network grow. I appreciate it.
No problem. But yeah, I will definitely link up with you guys and see if we can schedule a time for me to hop on.
Oh, yes, definitely. Looking forward to that. We'll have some fun on there.
All right. Thanks.
And Reen, you wanna give your final words and where people can find you, anything like that?
You guys have a great Thanksgiving holiday. Stay safe. You can find me at Fox with You on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, and this episode will come out a little earlier than usual, and you'll be able to hear it before Thanksgiving and whatnot, or listen to it while you're cooking your turkey and do whatever you want. But again, one last time, want to thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you all guys next week. Later.
See you.